of language, it's a question of related to do with our fears of India and China as well. But, you know, Chinese films, films from Macau and Hong Kong and Vietnam, they're winning all the prizes now. So we've moved away from a sort of Eurocentricity. We're looking for exotica, for something different. And this is supplying the answer for the moment. But I don't think it'll last forever.
Okay, may I kindly ask you to give me some names of artists that you believe are the embodiment of your theories as concerns the cinema or the visual arts of the future?
Well, we've mentioned Bill Viola.
Yes.
I mean, he certainly uses video and he certainly uses projection, but he's brought a live element into it, and he's brought physical objects, and he's brought people into it. And I think if the cinema is going to survive, it has to become interactive and it has to become multimedia. So people like him are sort of showing the way forward. There's a lot of pop music, of course, which, because there's so much money involved in it, is very innovative. I'm not always sure that these innovations are really self-conscious, but there's a great sense from young people inventing and reinventing through the notion of the musical clip, for example. There's a lot of very interesting people working there. But I'm deeply biased. I think painting is the most important thing any of us can do. I think civilization was represented very early on by painting. Think of those extraordinary cave paintings at Lascaux. And I think when civilization goes down the tubes, as it certainly will, the last thing we'll be doing will be making paintings. Let me give you an anecdote. Giacometti, famous Swiss sculptor, said, in the world, and I don't want to malign your grandmother, but he said that it's probable that your grandmother knows nothing about Picasso, but be certain Picasso knows everything about your grandmother.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Okay. That was good. That was really good. But, sir, opera, theater have already met the new techniques. Why do they survive decently, let's say? Why shouldn't cinema have the same destiny?
Well, I think, I mean, opera and theatre is, certainly in my country and in Western Europe, heavily, heavily subsidized. It cannot possibly exist on the box office anymore. So there's a way that opera, certainly, you know, the status value of opera, build a grand opera house, you know, brilliantly lit in the evenings, dress up, bring in the politicians, bring in all the business people. So it's an enormous status symbol. I don't think people are building opera houses anymore. They're building museums now, aren't they? Hundreds and hundreds of museums being built everywhere.
I fully agree.
But there is a way still. The opera house represents a certain sort of cultural bourgeois status, and it's very important politically. And most opera houses in Western Europe, I have to say, they are full every night, reproducing Madame Butterfly yet again. Familiar entertainment for familiar people. It's comforting. It's part of a status quo which people keep alive, I don't think because of the value of the work, but the value of the symbol and the metaphor and the status that goes with it.
What about theater?
Well, theater, again, always has a very, very bumpy ride, doesn't it? It sort of swings the pendulum backwards and forwards. And there's always a very, very healthy underground in the theatre. You know, two impoverished actors with one moustache between them go to the back of the pub and they entertain you for half an hour. That's theatre. As well as the Royal Shakespeare Company, which has 500, you know, people on stage and 300 people behind the stage. So in a curious way, the give and take, and theatre is one of the, you know, the celebrated major 6 arts. And they were with us with the ancient Greeks, and they'll be with us forever. But I don't think cinema, with its complications, with its difficulties of distribution system, with its language barriers, it's a temporary thing. And we will push it aside, and we'll pick up something which is much more entertaining and much more fascinating. I think what it is to do with low technology. That's why painting is so successful. You know, you can make a painting with the grease from your nose and a piece of paper, or do it with a stick on the floor.
Right.
Very simple technology. And it can give profound images. You don't need enormous amounts of money. And I think also the thing about painting is you're encouraged to fail. And if you fail, it's okay, because you can do it again. You haven't disturbed anybody, you haven't wasted any money. But you know what they say in the cinema, 2 bad films, whoop, you're out. You're never allowed to do it again. So that's another reason why I think painting is so incredibly powerful. We are allowed to experiment, and nobody is worried if we fail.
I was having a very tough discussion with one of my friends. He was advocating theater, I was advocating film, cinema. And maybe it could sound a little bit primitive, but at a certain moment he said, as a last argument, he said, okay, you said that cinema has mystery. I will tell you and I will demonstrate to you that cinema has no mystery. Maybe in the process of working, but never mystery because it's like a tin can. And he said, okay, if you advocate cinema, I'll tell you that in this very moment, if I cut electricity, your mystery is off. My mystery is on.
That's absolutely true. It's another reason, in a curious way, your friend is only repeating what I've just said. Theatre will always exist because it can be done with very, very small and, I suppose, easily obtainable means. You know, you and I can play theatre this very moment, and it'll be categorized as theatre with a capital T, but also the actual circumstances of making it are very simple and very upfront.
Okay, with your permission, I will introduce our friends from the band. Prietenii noștri de la Butterflies in My Stomach is the name of the band. Sunt gata să ne cânte în seara asta. Prietenii noștri ne vor cânta o piesă care se cheamă Who is So Romantic? Vă ascultăm.
Tell me about lovers' mind. What do they feel and fall in love? And what about candlelights, silhouette, glass of wine? And what is so romantic? Tell me, what is so romantic? Talk to me when I'm feeling rocks my shoes, and in my summer butterflies are fluttering and I'm confused. What is this feeling? How you call it?